بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. Inshallah ta'ala, I wanted to take the time, as we have to take another day without our reader. So I thought today that in this scattered thoughts, I would give an opportunity to share with you your thoughts, your feelings, your reflections on our platform and your benefit. So I put the link. I just asked a few questions for you. You're welcome to join a discussion. You can ask your questions. You can, about some of the things that we talk about. You can have your comments. I would like to hear from you. I just asked two things. If you are not properly in a proper situation, don't come on. If you cannot be focused just without a bunch of background noise, without, a suitable thing for everyone, don't come on. But those of you who would like to have some comments, some reflections about our platform, our programs, you are welcome. And I will see you, but don't be long-winded. 3 to 4 minutes tops. So you're welcome. But and may Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala make it easy for all of those who are affected by the forest fires around the country and in Canada. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala give all of you safety. So one of the things that I was reflecting on is the importance of the 3453 family. Right. To me, I see so many benefits to this family that we have assembled together. And one of them is that we are constantly reminded of several things that I think we should never forget. Among them is, as Sunni Muslims, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, our global and historic context. Our global and historic context as Ahl Sunnah. Through this platform, we're learning and we're acquiring the knowledge that will finally, inshallah ta'ala, give us access to the global traditional Muslim world, along with an historical connection to that. Oftentimes, we talk about our history as African Americans in Islam, and you see that we went through many, many stages. And I believe that we have finally arrived to a point where we correctly understand our deen to begin the rest of the work we have in our life. Like when we say Sunni, when we say Islam, we actually have an understanding of what we're talking about in terms of our creed, our practice, and our spirituality. And I ask most of you, there are some shaky people on our platform. I hate to say it, it's true. Don't follow them. You're learning. Put your knowledge to practice. There are some shaky people that come up inside here. And I only know they're shaky from what they do when they're not on this platform. They shaky, like this. And maybe I'm not even doing it enough. Shaky. We don't want to continue that type of behavior. And I ain't talking about shaky related to 3453. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about shaky in their understanding of the deen. I'm not talking about the 3453 family. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about they're not good people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about their religious understanding is shaky, right? And I don't want you to fall into that. That's extremely important. We come too long to be doing shaky stuff, right? To not be sure. You learning too much to not be sure of your creed, not be sure of your practice, not be sure of your spirituality, not be sure of your connection back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there are a lot of things out there that would make you doubt if you ain't firm in your understanding of the deen, right? So I say from our learning, listen, man, you received a lot. You no longer have to, like, with all you received, say to rely on the imams. In terms of referring, yes, but you have enough stuff that you've covered now that you should see the path clear yourself. It should be illuminated for you. And now all you got to do is travel. So that's one thing. The second thing, among the things that I see as benefit on this 3453 family, is we ain't forget who we are. We've been reintroduced to ourselves as Black people, which is important. Because sometimes we have acted in the past, may Allah never return us to such a state, where we thought becoming Muslim was in opposition to being Black in our practice and even in our thinking. And our concerns as a Black people were neglected because we Muslim now. And that was a huge error. And through our gatherings like the African American Islamic Summit, all of that, we like reclaimed our identity. And we realized that that was a game that was played on us to our detriment. disconnecting ourselves from our blackness and our cultural reality. Mistake. Big, huge mistake. And alhamdulillah, I believe through this platform, through the Black Imams Roundtable, African American Islamic Summit, we've restored that dignity and honor in being Black, right? And we're proud and dignified by being Black people. And the favor of Islam on top of that. So these are some of the things that I've been thinking about. And for us, we have to build the strength. I want to tell you a story, right? We had elections. Local elections yesterday. And Atlantic City is a majority African American city and majority Black city. The population of Atlantic City is majority Black. And I watched the elections yesterday, and I noticed the trend. Muti, since you're running for council, I hope you're paying attention. You can win, Muti. You can win. Run, run, run. You better motivate some Black people or you don't stand a chance. You don't even got to worry about running. But I noticed something. That our city is racially divided right down the middle. Even though we are a majority population, we're slowly losing our positioning in the city. And unfortunately, our biggest challenge are going to be coming from Muslims who are non-Black. Our biggest challenge are going to be from Muslims who are non-Black, who don't have the concerns of Black people, even the Muslims among them. And that's hard to say, right? But it's true. It's true. As bitter as that sounds, you would expect that Muslims would be a hope for the oppressed. No, unfortunately, Muslims will help oppress the oppressed if they're ever in power. That's deep. It's sad, but it's true. And I have receipts. I want you to think about what I just said. And I was explaining to some people, even our mayor, I said, you better watch how you move. They're coming after your neck. You better watch how you move. They're coming after your neck. And I see it happening. But us as Black people, we are our worst enemy. we as Black people, unfortunately, become our worst enemy. We won't do the things necessary to preserve our very existence, while others will come together, will unite to push forth their agenda. And it's not an Islamic agenda, because those people don't even know Islam. So it's not an Islamic agenda. It is Muslims pushing a cultural agenda with the name that we Muslim. And when I think about this, I see it in our Islam before we see it in the politics. Because the masajid, when they're involved like that, become places of politics, not about Islam. So I was telling the mayor before, I said, listen, man, I've seen this before you. I'm experienced with this. I know how this goes. I know how this works. They're going to use you to empower themselves, then they're going to cast you to the side. As if you don't exist. And if you, when your people, African Americans, stop supporting you, jealousy, envy, petty arguments, they're going to weaken your ability to continue to win. And I see it. I saw it in Islam. I see it in Atlantic City. Atlantic City was a predominantly African American Muslim population. The masjid, Blacks. There were several Black masjids. Forget difference of ideology. There were several Black African American masjids. When I say African American, led by African Americans. All of them going except Masjid Muhammad. Masjid Muhammad is the only African American led masjid in Atlantic City. When it was like that as a norm, there are 1, 2, 3 immigrant masjids, all of them based on cultural lines, right? I'm talking about in the city itself. All the African American masjids have closed down for funding issues, money, no support. They're all gone. The only one left is Masjid Muhammad. While the immigrant masjids have tripled. They started with 1, then they got 2, now they got 3. And I guarantee you there'll be 4 or 5 soon. Because even the African American masjid, the majority of the people attending, except on holidays, are immigrants. Black Muslims don't attend the masjid enough, except on Eid. Eid, you would think there are no immigrants, except a handful. But if you come other than that, it's majority immigrants. They're busting out the seams. And listen what I'm saying, that's a good thing for Islam if it was used for Islam, but it's not. It's used for politics. Numbers, strength, and then dominance. This is firsthand experience. You become just a number for political ends. So when I look at this platform, I say it's essential. For our very survival, this is necessary. Somebody has to ring the alarm all the time. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Something is happening. It's real stuff. right? And when I say that, that shouldn't be, I shouldn't even be able to have a conversation like this, right? I shouldn't. Not as Muslims, we shouldn't be able to have a conversation. I should be like, man, that's nonsense. No, it's real. It's obvious. Pay attention in your own areas. Look at your neighborhoods. You'll see people own all the businesses, and there's was black businesses probably when you grow up, and now there's no black businesses, and that money is never improving the neighborhoods. Think about it. This is stuff you see, but over time, you get used to it, and you don't realizing you're not realizing the devastating effects it has on you as a community, as a people. So these thoughts are really, 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 really important. Yesterday, I had a talk about what I mentioned on the roundtable. Do you realize that a lot of our youth don't realize that racism is alive and kicking? They don't, which is really bad. They think they live in a different society. Oh, that was back in the day. Y'all old heads don't realize. No, 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 no. The game is still running. It's just a little bit more advanced. It's the same game. And the fact that you don't see it is a big problem. A big problem. And when it's becoming so institutionalized that they don't recognize what's happening to them until it's done. You'll hear something like, everything ain't about race. Yes, it is. You just don't realize it. Everything ain't racism. Everything ain't. It's racism, classism, but it's all connected. And it doesn't change until you recognize it and challenge it. It's huge. So that issue I raised, that if you look, whenever there's a concern for someone else, it's a big push. Where's the big push for your concerns? And when they have a push, they want you to join it and support it. But your concerns are never a push, and they never join it, and they never support it collectively. There are always individuals who are good people. Despite their ethnicity, they are good people. That always exists. And they themselves will be the exception to the general rule. But that's an exception, it's not the rule. That's an exception, that's not the rule. And while you highly appreciate every exception to the rule, you don't dismiss the fact that this is a general rule that is detrimental to our collective brotherhood and sisterhood. You don't forget that. So if you got 85 people kicking you in the face and 15 people trying to break it up, you realize that most of the people are trying to kick you in the face. Do you understand that? That's important to think about. And until we change the majority, we can't stop. We did a number. And we did something. And I did it yesterday after the roundtable. Do you realize some of these immigrant masjids in the suburbs collectively around these different places, they have millions of dollars of zakat money, millions of save zakat money, millions. So if you went down that list and see how much money is in those institutions, I'm talking about just zakat money, which means it's supposed to go for at the priority and masakin and al-fuqara, the poor, extremely poor, and the needy. But that money's being saved for their own initiatives, while the most needy segment of the Muslim population are losing masjids, are struggling, poverty, food insecurities, education inequities, economic struggles, and they're not even looked at. And if they're given, they're not even given zakat amounts when you talk about total distribution of wealth. So the zakat is 2.5%. When you look at the money that's given to those communities, it's less than that. Less. And I'm saying to you, this is a right of Islam, right? Less than, that's a right of Islam, and it's less than that. We did a number, we talking about sometimes you see some of these budgets and the money that's given to the less fortunate communities in our Islamic community is less than, it's like 1.1%. Now, what's my answer to that? I'm saying, okay, that's fine, but you got to realize that you in it by yourself. You have to realize that. And then when you look around the country, you'll see a pattern that this is in every place as a norm. And there's always exceptions to the rule, but the general rule is injustice. The general rule is injustice, and we need to fix that. But you have to learn history. Because historically, there's always been those who got their piece of the pie and forgot about the others. And in history, you'll see it. And that was one of the things that Malcolm X used to talk about when he talked about the big six. Y'all got taken care of, y'all split the money, and the rest of us were left suffering. That's what he mentioned. Do y'all recall that? Even when he was talking about the March on Washington, that was one of his complaints. And we see that now, that people, they are mixing with these affluent masajid and communities, but that's not trickling down to the masses of the Black Muslim community. They benefit. And some of that may come directly to their individual community, but collectively, we're suffering. And then the others will use those who they bought and sold to say, see what we do? No, you don't do anything. Look at all of what's going on. These are things on my mind. And I see it. right? So in my scattered thoughts, I'm just reminding you to pay attention. And then we will be told, why are you bringing up these issues? Instead of saying, why we bringing up these issues, why don't you say, why do these issues exist? Right? And worse, when we see people who are the actual victims of such unfair treatment and disparity of resource distribution, and they'll say, why are you talking all this black stuff? Why am I able to talk about it? You ever thought about that part? Why am I able to articulate it with such ease and clarity and an undeniable way? And you got to start stumbling and making excuses why it's like that. So you had enough energy to say to someone, why are you bringing up these issues? Why you didn't have enough energy to say to people who are initiating these issues, to say, why you're doing this, this is not Islam. And forbidding the wrong. Because if we're going to give da'wah in Islam, we have to fix our own selves. If we're going to give da'wah to Islam, we have to fix our own selves. We can't have a worse system than the one people are running from. We can't have a worse system than the one that people are running from, as is just coded with religiosity, but in reality, it's not. We can't continue that methodology. And we have to speak on it because it's not going to change if you remain silent. Silence is taken as approval in Islam. Silence is taken as approval. That means you accept it. So these were my thoughts that I wanted to share today as we wait for the return of our reader. But I advise myself and you, start paying attention. Because when you see the struggle, you're going to realize how much work we have to do, right? We have a lot to do. A lot of work. It's a lifetime work. We're going to die doing this work. We're going to die raising these issues. We're going to die trying to solve these issues. It's a lot of work. But at least if you see the work, you can strategically plan to address all of these concerns. Stop sitting idle while people are trying to destroy you. Stop sitting idle while people are trying to destroy you. Stop sitting by idle while people are trying to destroy you. We have work to do. Don't be your own enemy. You have enough enemies. You have enough adversaries. right? And take off those blinders. They're killing us. You're watching your community be decimated, and you walking around in la la land. Don't do that. Wake up. We have work to do. And lastly, I meant this point. No one among communities of people gives all of their effort, support with no agenda. No one does that. We need a Black Muslim agenda that we push, and it needs to be loud and clear. These are the concerns of Black Muslims, African American Muslims. These are our priorities. This is our agenda. This is what we're working for. Everyone does it except us. And they're not shy about it. They're explicit. They have their concerns, and you're not it. Which is nothing wrong with that. They should have their concerns. It's recommended. It's essential that they have their concerns, but you need to have yours too. And when you work in cooperative effort, both concerns need to be met, not just theirs and not yours. Do you follow my point? It's nothing wrong. I am not saying that they shouldn't have their concerns. They should. I'm saying, likewise, you should have your concerns. And they should put their concerns on the table. And you should put your concerns on the table. And collectively, you should work together to assist one another. Equally, not with such disparity. Do y'all follow what I'm saying? Am I clear? I haven't said that in a while. Am I clear? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Wa alaikum salam, Ayub. I talked you up. I was asking about you this morning. MashaAllah, nice to know you're safe. I was missing you. So inshallah, may Allah make us successful. These talks are just necessary every now and then to keep us focused, right? While we do the work that we're talking about. Because we're not just talking about the issues, we're actually doing the work, right? We are working, we are educating ourselves, we are trying to build, we are reaching, we're doing our part, and we always can do more, right? But we need more of us to wake up so that we could do the work. So there needs to be an awakening period among us. May Allah make it easy. May Allah make it easy. And I want to say something to our non-Black listeners and supporters. We highly appreciate your efforts. We do. And we recognize them. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your caring hearts and your diligent work to move the deen forward in all aspects of the ummah, all parts of the ummah. May Allah reward you and increase you. But the work requires more. So an additional thing you can do, as you do what you do, encourage others in your sphere of influence to do more. As you do what you do, may Allah reward you. Realize that what you do needs to be duplicated. And in your sphere of influence, duplicate that. You know, some big companies, they have what they call match donations for charitable donations. So these big companies, what they do, if you're an employee at a big company, say like Google, right? For every dollar you donate to a charitable cause, the company will match that dollar up to a certain amount, for instance. So in a way, by doing that, they already donate the company to different causes, charitable causes. But they're encouraging their employees, which is in their sphere of influence, to do something too, so they could do more, right? So they do these match donations, because normally a person may not give. But if they know, I'm gonna give $1 and my company's gonna give $1, so that's $2, they will be encouraged to do more, right? So from our side, let's push ourselves to influence others to help remove these disparities. Right? Because this is a benefit for the entire ummah. When you see thriving communities in the inner city doing that hard work on the ground, it benefits the whole Muslim ummah. So there is a necessity to help those communities. There's a necessity to see that those communities are prosperous and educated and, have complete well-being. That's to our benefit as an ummah, because these are Muslims changing a society on the front lines of societal change. And everything we do to help that, we get that reward with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So barakallahu bikum, may Allah reward you. I hope that something I said is of benefit and it inspires someone to do good. And let me, while I'm talking about inspiring you, let me put the link where you can help. Right? Because we have a lot of stuff to do. And the more who help, the more we do. So you can always support. You should just have that as a regular thing you do. Support these efforts. Because the more support we get, the more we can do. We work at the level of our support. And the more you support. Someone asked me, they said, Imam, if you had all the money you believe that you need, what would you do? I said, more of what I'm doing. They said, what? He said, what would you do? I said, more of what I'm doing. At a higher level, at a more aggressive level. Right? More programs, more teaching, more books, more on-the-ground work, more community feedings, more engagement, more educational programs for the community. All that would be done, more and more and more and more and more, till we have a sound society, to the best of our ability. That's what I would do. Nothing would change except more of the work. Inshallah ta'ala. Right? Inshallah ta'ala. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates such lofty aspirations among us. Inshallah ta'ala, that Allah would give us the resources so that we would do the work that we intend to do. And have more of us engaged in that work. Especially in teaching. And especially in teaching. I have this dream, right? A 24-hour, 7 days a week, Black Sunni platform in various issues, 24 hours. Can you imagine that? There's many reasons why I say that. Because many of us, because we don't have that, we wander off into cyberspace somewhere all over the place. But if you had a platform of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, African Americans, constantly, it would be so amazing. It would be so amazing. Imagine that. And you had different people doing different programs, religious, community, economic, social, but they were all Ahl Sunnah. So we didn't have false concepts of the deen. These are all Sunnis, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, African American, and they had a whole platform like that. And you would build that. Like it'll go from now, we might once a day or twice a day, 7 days a week, we're doing that. But that's because we don't have enough people. But if you were adding people and you could facilitate for them to do it and just build it and build it and build it. But it costs money. That's honest. To do something like that, it costs money. You can't do that for free. Right? Right? But I'm still trying to do that from the summit. So I need your help because we didn't reach our objective, because that's what I intended to do. We did very well, but not our objective. So if we could do that, then we could facilitate with all of those teachers from the summit to start having them regularly, in on one platform, right? On one platform. In a cooperative effort. All right, I gotta go. Barakallahu bikum. May Allah reward you. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll go back to our book. I hope that our reader will be available. If not, I'll just have the scattered thoughts until she returns. When is the next one? Well, the next summit is next year. We only do one summit a year. But we have programs throughout the year in different places. So the next gathering we're going to have is the weekend of the 25th in Pittsburgh at Masjid Mu'min. Samira, Imam Naeem, is the flyer somewhere? Come. Oh, that's right. It's sold out. Oh. See? If we had more money, we have bigger spaces. They could rent a big old hall. We ran out of. They don't. They cut what they call it. Registration was stopped because it was too many people. So the next one is June 23rd through the 25th in Pittsburgh. Yeah, but we're not. We will, but we're not going to do that right now. So we'll give at least a 6 months notice, inshallah, of the next summit. But it's too early now, too many other factors to determine a date. And, there's other reasons why we have to wait. Because we have to make sure we are financially stable to do all that it needs to do to put on a summit, right? So that we need at least 6 months to arrange for that, right? So it's a lot of work. All right, Barakallahu bikum. May Allah reward you all, inshallah. Today is Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.